All right, so we're gonna do a Q&A. So I know you guys probably have some questions. So we've got Matt and James, and I think, Greg, you should come up here. What do you guys think? So I'm gonna be the runner. If you've got questions, put your hands up, and we'll get some Q&A going. So who's got some questions? Are you guys gonna make me ask questions? Anyone? Anyone?
Hey. And I just wanted to
Mandy? Okay.
say that
Mandy's got a question.
if anyone out there will be selling shirts and posters afterward, and that's just trying to raise some money to help pay for all the licensing that we're facing with the film. So.
Okay, so we got our first question right over here.
How long did it take you guys to make this film?
We started officially at that Fun Fest, so that was October or September of 2010.
Yeah.
Right?
Yeah.
Wow. So it's like 3 years, basically. Yeah.
Yes.
It seems like many of the interviews were done on the street, like right outside a venue. Right outside a venue. How did you get some of those interviews from those guys? I mean, it seems like it was just right outside the show on a street. It was just like these epic.
Any way we could get them.
interviews.
You know?
It was really cool.
Yeah, I mean, some fans were outside of shows, and then the guys in the bands sometimes, made time for us as best they could.
And by the way, I don't know, this is James. He was the lead editor on the film. So, and I'm Matt, director, co-director, and I wrote the movie. So, and then this is Greg, who you may have recognized. There was actually a very, very tiny, short period in the career of the Descendents where Bill was not the drummer. He doesn't like to claim this because it's such a tiny trivia.
It's true. I've been playing drums less than a year, and when Bill left to join Black Flag, I tried to fill in, and then Frank quit the band a few days later, and then we were looking for a singer, and I showed up at practice one day, and they were trying out another drummer. My best friend from high school, Ray, had betrayed me, but it was actually for the better because I practiced for a year by myself, straight, and then wound up starting a couple bands with guys from Black Flag. So it's all good.
What did you shoot it on, and what did you edit it on?
This is a you question.
Most things were shot on the Canon 5D Mark II, and sometimes, a T2i thrown in there. And then, it was pretty much offline entirely in Media Composer.
Are you all from Southern California? I know you are, Greg, but are you all?
No, we're actually from Dallas, Texas.
Oh, okay.
So how did that happen? I don't know. Timing is everything.
Touring.
This is a band. There was multiple documentary crews over the years who have wanted to do a film on this band, and it just never happened. And the timing just happened. Bill basically woke up after his surgery, and he's, I think it's time to do this movie. And we were the ones there at the time, so it was pretty cool.
Thank you for doing it. So, I'm sorry if you already answered this, but who did the animation?
It was a company out of Belgium reached out to us, and they heard we were doing the movie, and they were huge fans, and they'd done some really kick-ass animation for some other punk rock bands and music videos and stuff. And so, they just said, can we help in any way? And we were like, yes.
And
yes,
it's
you can.
amazing. I mean, that stuff made the movie for us. Because a lot of this, there was not footage that existed of a lot of this early stuff, especially. And, it's amazing to be able to be in the boat with Bill, and Pat, all when that moment is born. Bill himself, Bill Stevenson is, don't let it fool you. He's a very charming, charismatic guy, which he really is, and on screen especially. But as people alluded to, he's a strange dude sometimes. Hard to talk to sometimes. And he doesn't say much. He saw the movie, and to him, he's just like, I didn't know it was going to be just about me. That's really all he says. He's very just kind of lives in he's Bill. That's what he is, But the one comment he said was, man, that boat cartoon. That was exactly what it was like. You know, that's not an exaggeration. There was that many fish in that boat.
I don't think it was mentioned in the movie, but Pat actually died on the boat, overfilled with fish between Catalina and Redondo Beach. The boat went down.
Yeah. That's the real deal right there. That's all.
Yeah, is this going to go out on DVD?
Absolutely.
This is all being worked out, you know, this is, we just finished it, you know, a few months ago, although we're still tweaking. We'll probably go back and tweak something. Oh, yeah, and the band has been supportive the whole time, you know, and yeah, definitely. All the music licensing, you know, money is made on that, and yeah.
Okay, we have one.
Thanks, guys, for making the movie.
Oh, happy to.
I appreciate it. It was awesome. It was much better than I expected. No, that's good. But for Greg, if you could take us back towards the beginning there, at the end of the 70s and the 80s, California being, well, Los Angeles, Hollywood, Southern California being arguably one of the most, a very influential period was happening in there. And the movie alluded to it and got a little bit into it, but could you elaborate a little bit on the divergence, the sort of, the split off of that punk movement, that energy all pent up, and sort of an anti-music industry thing just sort of exploded all of a sudden. It seemed like there was a moment that came out of there. If you could take us back there to what you saw there.
I'm not quite clear.
Take us back,
on the
Greg.
question.
Take us back.
Maybe a little clarification.
Do you want? Okay.
What did you see?
He was in the eye of that hurricane. It's hard to see when you're there, you know what I mean?
Explain the difference between that Southern California aesthetic that the whole country was buying into and the angst that you guys felt just being in high school and not being the California dream.
I think for me it was being in 12 years of Catholic school.
To do that one.
And Ray Cooper, who was the second guitarist, was my best friend in high school, who actually introduced me at age 14 to punk rock. So I was kind of like Bill's Keith Morris, or Ray was like Bill's Keith Morris. And I mean, the first records I ever heard punk rock were the Descendents Fat EP, which was the second 45 they ever put out, and Black Flag's Nervous Breakdown EP and Dead Kennedys. And I'm literally, the first day I ever heard it, it was instantly life-changing. And then when I went to go see the Descendents, it just spoke to me. Like none of the 70s music I'd ever heard. I mean, as far as the divergence, I guess I was a little burned out on Rush. I still love Led Zeppelin. Yeah, totally burned out on Rush. I mean, all the top 40 stuff, I didn't realize that I was completely glazed over from it. And when I heard that music for the first time, it was, for me, it was like the heavens opening up, and it sucked me in instantly. And I'm very fortunate that I actually got to meet the people making the music and, you know, basically conducted my life the same way. I didn't dive into it as far as they did, obviously, but I did tour and slept on floors and in vans and didn't shower as much as I should have.
All right, we have a question.
Did that
in the back.
answer it? I don't know if that answered the question or not.
Okay.
Where are we at? Where am I looking?
This movie is obviously a huge deal to a lot of us, I think. I've been waiting for something like this for years. But for you guys as fans, like, how big of a moment was that to even be a part of this whole thing?
Yeah, I mean, it's surreal, you know? And, I mean, it's our first film that we did. So, like I said before, we're Descendents fans who wanted to make a movie. We weren't filmmakers who said, oh, what subject shall we choose, you know? It was, it's all timing, and it's amazing that we got to do it, you know? I mean, my band went and recorded a record with Stefan in like 2004. You know, I'd been a fan for years. We went there and we kind of threw the idea around with him because all of us, the guy, Deedle, the co-director with me, he he was in my band, and so we were all. I was in news. Dietel edited commercials. We were in the industry, if you will, and but yeah, so we just kind of threw the idea around and kind of kept in touch about that. And then one day it was just like, hey, let's do it. And I got to say, you know, we started in what I say, October of 2010, and it wasn't until almost a year later that we really felt like we were actually doing it, which may be weird. We had already gone on flights and spent a bunch of money, and we were invested, but it was like, I don't know if this is actually going to happen. And then it was maybe a year into it, it was like, oh, wow, I guess it's happened. It's happening. So, you know. But yeah, it's amazing. What can you say? You know, my favorite band, you know.
All right, we're in the corner over here, you guys.
All right, so about 7 years ago, the band I was in, we went on tour with Riverboat Gamblers and Only Crime when Bill was still playing. And he was crop dusting us every day. And did you guys have the privilege of being crop dusted by Bill Stevenson? I know, Greg, you did.
Yeah, I have, that's for sure.
He was on his best behavior with us.
Yeah, he really
I must
was.
say. He was. I wouldn't say he was nervous. I don't think that guy would get nervous, but he was focused, man. He really was. He was like, you know, if I want to do this, anything this guy does, if I'm going to do it, I'm going to do it all. No pun intended, but I'm going to do it right. And when he finally made the decision, you know, we didn't get billed till almost a year into this. We weren't sure. It fluctuated. There's and there's a little montage of him cursing out the camera. That's us. You know, why are you recording me? You know, that kind of stuff. We went through almost a full year of that before he's like, oh yeah, I know you guys, you're cool. You know. And then when we did his interview, which his interview alone was 3 hours, and it's so captivating, and he's just very fun to listen to, and no matter what he's talking about. So, you know, he was focused that day. A lot of coffee.
We're going to keep doing Q&A, but I want to bring some attention to our audience awards. So we do Best of the Fest, which the winner gets $1,500, and then we also do Audience Award, which the winner takes home $500. So if you really love this film, you should text to 38714, and then there's the code, Diesel.
Is the service good in here?
Yeah, it's kind of scary. We were having some trouble the other day with downloading. But yeah, if you love the film and you really would like these guys to walk home with $500, I suggest you guys go ahead and text to that number. And on that note, we're going to move on to the next question.
Oh, hello. Thank you so much for making such a wonderful documentary. I really enjoyed it. It truly jazzed me. And to be honest, I mean, it comes across as as something that should be picked up big time. I was wondering if you had a difficult time deciding whether or not to involve the band members' personal stories sooner than you did, as in like talking about the illness or the injury that Stevenson was experiencing.
You mean sooner in the movie?
Sooner in the movie, precisely, as in like cut to personal stories, but there are so many, obviously. I guess it's hard, and I just, you know, I feel like you could go just absolutely anywhere with it. So I was just wondering how you felt about it.
You know, I have this like 700-page document of all the interviews transcribed, and so it was kind of like having this puzzle with a bunch of extra pieces, and they all fit together really anywhere you want. So it was really hard because the mantra the whole time was, we're not doing a behind the music. That's not what we're doing here. You know, we care about these guys. These are not just your average, boring, musicians. These guys they're interesting. And they have very particular stories. You know, the one regret, I would say, is that we couldn't include more personal stuff about all the guys, because all of them have their own story. And, you know, it became Bill. It started that way. That was really the idea was, you know, he's the guy who's been at it the whole time. So his arc was really what we followed. We kind of saved his story for the end. That was kind of by design. The idea being that you just kind of have this guy, the drummer of all people, being the band leader, and then all these other dudes you learn about coming in and out of his career, and then at the end, who is this guy? And then bam, there it is. That was kind of the plan. So
All right, we got another question right over here.
Fantastic film, thank you.
You're welcome.
I just want to acknowledge you. It's not much of a question, but to thank you for reminding us that there was a time when punk rock was really not about making money. And punk rock was about saying fuck you to Rolling Stone and to the record companies. And I just really remembered that tonight, you know, to acknowledge that. I hope you all make money, and I hope they're doing well and supporting their families. But you remember the ethic. Remember the original ethic of punk rock was no labels, no money, and to be punk rock. It wasn't just a sound, it wasn't just a look, and it wasn't just about being famous. And I think that's something we hardly see anymore. So thank you for reminding us of that.
Thank you.
Hey, I just wanted to compliment the film, really. As a middle-aged, I think I can almost be called that at this point, over 40 generation person who used to come to shows here in the 80s as a teenager. You guys really captured the spirit of it, and you did a really excellent job, and I just wanted to applaud you for that. Thank you.
Thank you.
You know, most of that archive footage is fans. We put out, you know, a message early on saying, if you have anything, send it our way. So, you know, I don't know the percentage of footage from that, but.
Yeah, I'd probably say about 30 or 40% of the footage we used was fan submitted, and the rest came from the Stevenson vault.
Yeah, and then in the 11th hour, you know, Bill Stevenson's like, oh yeah, I got this box, or wait, maybe it's 13 boxes full of stuff you might want. Yeah.
Introduce year 3.
Hi, I just want to thank you guys. That was an awesome movie. Well done, really well done. I haven't seen a documentary that made me laugh so much. And I want to know, in the editing process, whose sense of humor was that? I mean, all the jokes and everything was so funny. We know they're a hilarious band, but whose sense of humor really pulled through?
It's kind of like a collection of all of the characters in the film. I mean, all of those guys, I mean, they're all so sharp, and they're all so, you know, so funny individually. And so, you know, you sit them down for 3 hours at a time, they're gonna deliver on that, and they're all very self-aware too.
I also wanted to compliment you on the movie. Great movie. I was wondering if you may include more of the Bill Stevenson interview, like on the DVD, because I will definitely buy that.
Yeah, that's the plan. You know, we have, you know, the bonus cut, if you will, with a ton. I mean, you know, there's so much footage. Like I say, Stevenson's interview alone could be a 3-hour movie that any fan certainly would stay glued to. It's amazing. You know?
And I have one more question. I was just wondering what happened to Frank later in life.
Yeah, unfortunately, that, for time's sake, we had the whole section on that. But yeah, he had.
Wasn't it? Bill told us it was a diabetic coma.
Diabetic coma, basically. Yeah, he was just unhealthy about the last 10 years of his life, Bill said. Actually, you know, they reconciled. They never really had a falling out, so to say, but when that's a true thing. Frank one day said, put his equipment in a pile, lit it on fire, and moved to Oregon, right? I mean, that happened. You know, then it came, I mean, Greg knew him well around that time, and that was around the last time you saw him, you said, right?
Yeah, the last time I saw Frank alive was the day he quit the band.
All right, we're going to do one more question because I really want you guys to get some T-shirts and posters from these guys. Yay. Send them home happy.
I'm just saying, speaking of humor, can anyone repeat the logistics? Does anyone know all of them? Somebody's got to know all of them.
I actually don't.
I know Greg broke one. Tell that story. You told me that.
Man.
I called him out.
Yeah, so the Descendents were playing a couple shows at the Whiskey. Like, they did a whole weekend, maybe 3 days they sold out. And I confessed that I purchased Calvin Klein underwear and showed it to him.
All right, you guys, thank you so much. I mean, this is only night 2 of 4 nights of the film festival. You can catch the last bit of the comedy show. We have another comedy show tomorrow. We've got Eric Wareheim from Tim and Eric's. Awesome show, great job. He's going to be in here showing comedy shorts as well. We've got The World According to Dick Cheney, because everyone needs to know about that. And we also have William and the Windmill and some really, really awesome shorts. So please stick around, come all day tomorrow, bring the kids in the morning, and then hang out with these guys. They're going to be up here selling shirts and posters. So thanks so much.